Hello, this is Arthur Nix with EWKS, and today I'm going to talk about the word bid proposal form. Now, in part one, I did the concise and the customize, and today I'm going to talk about probably the most versatile, the most complicated, the most frustrating, and bid proposal forms, and that's the word bid proposal form in HeavyBid. Now, I wish HCSS would have done videos on this, and I really had to kind of dig into this myself and kind of, peel this back. There's a lot of places that could be improvements, but they're not going to happen at this point in time with HeavyBid Desktop. So it is what it is. Okay, it's not. There's no need to send in suggestions. I kind of treat it like a race car. It's got defects. But if you're going to use the word, it depends on the driver, the user. So the user has to really dig into it. It has to understand it. It can't just kind of, flop around in there and just kind of get to the end. You really have to know what's going on. And like I said, it is pretty complicated. But if you spend time with it and understand it and work around the shortcomings, and there are shortcomings, then there is a reward at the end of the day. And so that's what we're going to try to do here. And it is difficult to do this video because there's just so many parts to this. But I'm going to attempt it. All right, so let's get into it. So here it is up here, the word proposal form. And it opens it up. And there we go. Now, part one is to understand where these are kept. All right, so you're going to have to be familiar with, the files. So I'm going to come down here to my file. I'm going to come down here to where this is. So here's the directory for HeavyBid. It's either on your server or, I assume you have a server. And it's going to be under HCSS directory right there. And there's my bid templates. All right, so there's the default ones that come with HeavyBid. Maybe the bridge one. I'm not sure if the bridge one is default, but the others are default. You notice I have an extension of a dot DOT. Okay, that's not DOT, Department of Transportation. That is the Microsoft Word designation for a template. It has to be a .dot. So what I do is, and I'll get into this later again, is I do everything in a docx format, copy it into here, and then when I'm ready to bring it back up, I change it to a .dot. All right? So another thing I would do too, and just so that you can see this, when you create an estimate, if I go into back to my directory of estimates, which are right here, okay, and I go into a directory for my estimates, I suggest that you create in the master estimate, just do it one time, a AA proposals folder, and I'll show you why why you want to do this later. So this will make sense. So let's go back. Again, that's under the HCSS directory, and there it is right there in the bid templates. All right. Now, HCSS gives you these templates right here. To me, they haven't changed since this was rolled out. Like, I don't know, 12 years ago. And, they're not the best looking. You could use them and you can modify them. And what I would do would be to rename them, modify them, and then, and then it's just your own document. Now, you can edit these documents right here. Let's open this up. And you can see here, those are my tags that I have Let's make this as big as we can. That's probably the reason I don't do my editing in here is just the size of this thing here. I can increase it some. There you go. So you can see this thing. And there's the proposal. We're going to cover what this, some best practices here in a minute and how this is set up outside of this. But you can use this as it sits right here and just modify it and be on the way. You can, if I go to save it, it saves it. I can't rename it. You can see that, but I can do that renaming back in the file folder. Now, another thing you could do here is you can customize the appearance of the item list right there. And this is pretty cool that you can come in and say, well, I want to have the bid item code instead of the, and I want to have the client number. And then you can move these around like this so that you can get a different look on here. So if I put OK now, you can see this is going to change. And look right there, it's changed. So now I have the client number right there. So, and you can do this live. You could do it, certain estimates. You can say, hey, I'm going to, for this one, I need to have the client code, or I don't want to show the bid item code, or I don't want to show the quantity. All this, and you can use the move right, move left. All this can be customized per bid because you'll be opening this up and using it per bid. Now I don't know if I would save it because I think it would show up the modified that before, but you can go ahead and just close it and then it's ready to go. All right, now how does this work right here? Let's go ahead, and it uses the contact system to generate this. So I have to come up here to the contact system, and let's just go with this right here. And then it populates based on the contact system. Now, what I suggest you do, you're sending out these proposals, is when you go to add vendors, you have a vendor type, and that would be a customer, so that would bring up all of your customers. So you're not going through 500 or 1,000 different contacts looking for the different people. Now, these contacts right here come from, let me just do an aside right here. In the subsystems, I have set up the web version of the contact system. And so that's where I create my contacts up there. And this is fairly new. I think the last 2 years, maybe 3 years. So it's out now. I like it because you can modify, somebody else can modify the contacts without taking up a HeavyBid license. And it can also I think it can also be used by the heavy job, or maybe it's going to be, I'm not sure yet. But I do like this. To me, this is the way to go. But you can still use the old legacy one too, the business contact system. And I've done a video on setting that up. All right. Once that's done, then it's just a matter of generating the proposal. So it comes in here, generates it, does the mail merge, puts all the information in. And then at the bottom here, you're going to see this little word icon pop up. And here we are right here. All right. And let's just open this up, and then let's go ahead and so you can see this better. Now, I didn't have the job or the location come in, but that could have come in. I'll show you where that could be captured right there. And then here is the prices right here. You notice I just left the item numbers and the unit prices. Now, this is not live where that number is more. You can't come back and change this, and that number will change, and that number will not change also. So let's analyze this for a minute. What HeavyBid does is uses tables, all right? And so if you look right here, that's a table right there. And there is, and we'll open up the borders, but that's all that it's using is this borders. And same thing up here. It's using a table and the borders are invisible. So what I do, and I'll get into this, when I design this, I start from scratch. And I create I look at the customer's form and I say, hey, this, and I create my different tables. I'll usually create a header up here. But you can see there's a table right there. Let's go ahead and let's see, can I show the border right here? I probably have to do that in Word itself, but I'll show you that later. So what you want to do in order to really become an expert at this and be able to manipulate this well is to understand tables and be able to do that. And I'll cover a little bit, but I suggest, and I'll come up with a good YouTube video to watch on creating these tables. Now, if you just use this, you don't have to do that. You can just modify this and, go your happy way. Now, you notice this also comes in with my inclusions, exclusions, that kind of thing. So that is set up in the template also. All right, so all that can be included, or you can also, once it's done, is you can paste it in. Now, where the frustrating part of this is you want to send this out now. Really, the only way that you can do this, you don't want to send out a Word version. That would, because then it could be modified by the customer. So what you have to do is you have to save this, then you have to convert it to a PDF, and then you have to email this out to each individual person. There is no way to do this mail merge type of thing out of HeavyBid. So if you can imagine, if you're doing this twice, 3 times, 4 times a day, this can get pretty time consuming, because now I have to come up here to File, I have to go to Save As, and then I have to go, and you can see there is my default location. It's defaulting in the estimate itself, and there is no way that I know of to make that default to another location. Okay, and I've tried different, there are different settings, and it pretty much is going to be that setting right there, which is a little frustrating because I would want that to go over into my proposals. But let's open that up, and you can see I can change that. Instead of just being in the body of all the files, and then it's just all over the place, I can put that right in my proposal. I can save that, and now it's, and I could also change the name too. So now when I come into this, all my proposals can be all found in one place instead of being up and down that file list, and then you got to go hunt them down. So let's go look at that. That's in my EWKS, and then we go to my proposals, and there it is right there. So the way it saved it the first time, if I go back, is, let's go to modify, and let's see, there it is right there. So if it doesn't have the right file name, it could be anywhere in that list of, I don't know how many files, and it can get easily lost. So that's why earlier I said best practice is to come up to in your estimate, in your master estimate, just to be sure that you have that file of the AA proposals or A proposals, just so it's at the top. All right, and then that'll save you a lot of time when you're trying to find the proposals to send out to the customer. So now I would have to take that, open this up, convert it to a PDF, and then email that out. So let's switch gears a minute and let's get into the actual files here. So here I have a demo proposal. I've already renamed this from the DOT to the DOC or DOCX, whatever you prefer. And the only thing is I don't leave it as a .dot because when you go to save it, it puts it out in the root directory. It won't save it right here. I think it's some kind of security. So I always rename it first. All right, so let's just look at this one. Here's a demo. And let's just open this up and just show you kind of the way I set this up. It's not like the best one, but just as a demonstration. And you can see here when I click on this hidden, this is actually tells me that it is a table. So I come up here to table design and I go to borders. And then I can see all borders. So you can see how I set this up. I actually set this up with a three box table. And the same thing for down here. If I go to here and then I go to my borders, those are my borders right there. So that's how HeavyBid, or how these are set up. If you look at the default ones too, they just use tables in here to kind of, line up your different fields right here. Now you can go ahead and put in these fields here. The only one you can't pre-put in outside of HeavyBid is the actual, quantity, unit price. That whole table is separate, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So this is how I take the customer's form. I look at it and then I say, well, okay, let's just create the different tables right here. And then at the very end, I come in here to borders and then I make it invisible with no border, and the borders go away. So, and everything's in its place. So that's how this is done. Now, let's just go look at another one right here that I got. So just to, just so you can see how you do a table, you go to Insert, Table, and then you decide, okay, what do I want here? And then you don't have to make a final decision. You can always come back and revise it. And then I come in here, and then I can always, come in here, revise the depths, and whatever I want here. I can add more columns. And then at the very end, like I said, I come in and make it invisible. Now, after that, I go back. Let's go back now to the files here. This is the one I was working with. I go right-click. I go to Rename. And then I go ahead and put it back to a DOT. Now, it gives you an error. That's the error right there, but it's fine. I haven't had any problem. And there it is right there. Just a minute. Oh, because I have it open in Word. Yep, I do have to get out of it first. There it is. And then I have to come up here to File, Save, Exit. And now I come back up here to, let's see, where was it? It is this one right here. I go right-click, Rename, DOT, and I should be ready to go. There you go. Now let's go into HeavyBid and just insert some of these fields so you can see how it's done. And I go back into here. I go up into Word. It opens it up. Okay, and let's go ahead and select the template. And I'm going to go to the demo proposal. At that point, I come here to Edit Template. And now I have all my fields right here. So if I want to come in here and put in who the proposal's to, then I could come down and use any. Here's my contact fields here. So I'm going to say it's to a company. And there it is right there. And then all I do is I click that, insert tag, there you go. If you know it, you can go ahead and put it in too, and then I could just come down here and do the same thing, vendor address, insert tag, come down here, and vendor city, insert tag, and you get the idea. Same thing for over here. I would put in the vendor's phone number, email, and all that. Then I would come below that and type out, the verbiage, this please find attached, the below quote. Now the footnotes is down. Let's see if I can find the footnote field. And there should be a separate field for footnotes, and then it would copy in all the footnotes that you have set up right down here in the bottom left, modify footnotes. And right now I'm not seeing those. Let's see if I can find it right here. Oh, there it is right there. So I would put that at the bottom or close, pretty far out of the way, and I can play with it later. And that's going to grab the footnotes out of here. So finally what I do is I come into here and I come up to this right here, bid item list. Now this is what you can't do, at least I haven't found a way, that you can't do outside of HeavyBid. So what I do is I come in here to insert bid item list, insert tag. It builds that out. I can also add the proposal row, the subtotal row, and if I want the proposal note. So there we go. There's the list right there, and it has created its own table inside of HeavyBid. So again, I can customize this, and I can go ahead and play around with what column I want to show or not show, or I can wait and do it when I'm actually producing the proposal. So I cancel that. I go ahead and save it. Again, you can go ahead and hide these right here. I think it's easier to do. I have to find it. There's borders, and then I go to no border, but I'm going to leave my borders on this one right here. And then I can always add more verbiage, as I go. Also, I probably want to have a date somewhere, and you can see right here, there's one that's the date. You got the date fields, and you got also estimator fields. You can create these inside HeavyBid. I'll show you where those are in a minute. Or you can just use the word date field too, so it comes in with the current date. So that's pretty much how you do it. And I save and close, and that's ready to go. Now, at that point in time, if I want, remember I talked about the vendor right here, and then I go to vendor type, I click in my customer, and then I can go ahead and add these 3 people. The only problem is it's going to create 4. Right now I have 4 different Word documents, and then I have to go and make a PDF of every one of those documents because they're personalized, right? I don't have 2 all bidders, and so that's the issue with the Word version. But otherwise, it really does look pretty good. It's pretty easy to customize as you go. You got your modified footnotes right there. You got your you could change the order of this. You can you can change also the display options right here. There's just a lot of options. So it works pretty well. You just have to know, again, the limitations of it. And the limitations of it is it's going to create multiple Word documents that you have to go handle and then send out again. And if you do this 5 or 6 times during the day, it's quite it eats up a lot of time. So anyway, just want to cover this Word version of the proposals. I've done the concise, the customized. These 2 are a separate video, and then the Word. I would suggest that if you're serious about making your own Word template and you need help, well, we could schedule a 4-hour session where we do a lot of review of your setup and look over your estimates, and then we could do the setup of the Word template at the same time. So if you're interested, just let me know, and we'll set something up. All right, well, this is Arthur Nix with EWKS, and, give it a try and see what you can do with this.